What if one of the most dramatic, most famous scenes in all of ancient history just never happened? Today, we're digging into King Xerxes' fateful decision to invade Greece, as told by the one and only Herodotus. But as we're about to see, the story he tells us, well, it might not be the whole story. So just imagine this for a second. You're standing in front of the most powerful man on the planet, and you have to tell him that his grand, legacy-defining plan is a catastrophic mistake. That's the incredibly tense scene Herodotus paints for us, with the king's own uncle, Artabanus, speaking some very hard truths. And that, right there, is the million-dollar question for anyone studying history, especially when you're reading Herodotus. Are we getting a real, behind-the-scenes look into the Persian court, or are we reading a brilliant piece of historical drama? That's exactly what we're going to unpack. All right, let's dive right into this scene. Herodotus sets it up like a total pressure cooker. You've got this court, and it's completely split over this monumental decision to invade Greece. It's just simmering with ambition, old grudges, and some really, really bad advice. The biggest cheerleader for war is Mardonius, who happens to be Xerxes' cousin. Now, on the surface, his arguments sound reasonable enough, right? It's about revenge for that loss at Marathon, it's about all the riches of Europe, but really, underneath all that, he's just driven by this raw, personal ambition and a totally dangerous underestimation of who the Greeks are. And this wasn't just some healthy, open debate. Oh no. Herodotus tells us the court was crawling with these self-interested players. You've got guys like Onomachritus, an oracle forger, who is basically Xerxes' personal spin doctor. His job was to filter out any gloomy prophecies and feed the king a steady diet of nothing but guaranteed victory. So, of course, King Xerxes himself, who's being fed all this flattery and ambition, completely buys into it. He frames this whole invasion as his destiny, his duty. For him, it's all about revenge, yeah, but it's also about being even greater than his father and claiming the glory he thinks he's owed. But, and this is a huge but, this is where things get really tricky for us as historians, because the dramatic, emotional story that Herodotus tells us runs headfirst into a very different story told by Persia's own records. We just have to be honest about the fundamental problem here. There is just no way Herodotus could have had a transcript of this meeting. Think about it. He's writing 50 years later about a top-secret council meeting held in a language he didn't even speak. So these speeches, they're a literary construction, not a word-for-word record. And the difference is just staggering. On one hand, Herodotus gives us this hot-headed, emotional king who's easily manipulated. But then you look at Persia's own royal inscriptions, and they paint a picture of a sober, pious, legitimate ruler who believes he's acting with the approval of the gods. I mean, these are two completely different people. So to really get what's going on, we have to switch lenses. We need to stop reading this like a newspaper article and start analyzing it for what it truly is, a masterful piece of Greek literature, one that's built on themes and character types that any Greek would have recognized instantly. And the whole story really hinges on this core Greek idea, hubris. Now, hubris isn't just regular pride. It's that next-level, dangerous arrogance. It's the kind of overconfidence where you think you're as powerful as the gods. And in Greek tragedy, hubris always leads to a great fall, to nemesis. Herodotus is basically screaming, this is a classic case of hubris. And the characters, they're practically cast from a Greek play. Artabanus, the king's uncle, is a perfect example. He is the classic wise advisor, that stock character who bravely speaks the truth to a powerful ruler who absolutely does not want to hear it. And what this does is it creates this perfect tragic pattern, a 3-act structure that Herodotus's audience would have known by heart. Step 1, wisdom is offered. Step 2, that wisdom is angrily rejected. I mean, Xerxes literally explodes at his uncle. And step 3, catastrophe. The warnings come true. This is the basic blueprint for countless Greek tragedies. So let's look a little closer at Artabanus, because Herodotus is using him as way more than just a character. He's actually a brilliant literary device that helps structure the entire narrative of the Persian defeat. Right back in that first debate, Artabanus doesn't just say, hey, this is a bad idea. No, he makes this chillingly specific prophecy about Mardonius, the war's biggest advocate. He says his body will end up being eaten by dogs and birds on a Greek battlefield. See, this is a narrative time bomb. It's not just a warning, it's a spoiler. Herodotus is winking at his Greek audience, who knew that this is exactly what happens to Mardonius years later at the Battle of Plataea. It creates this amazing dramatic irony that hangs over the entire story. And he keeps doing it. Later on, once the invasion is already underway, Artabanus' warnings get super practical. He points out that the fleet's too big, the army's going to run out of food, the Greeks have the home field advantage. He is literally giving the audience a checklist of all the reasons the Persian invasion is about to fail spectacularly. Okay, so you might be thinking, wait a minute. If the speeches are made up and the characters are just archetypes, why are we even talking about this? Why does this matter? And that is the right question to ask. It matters because Herodotus is doing more than just telling us what happened. He's exploring why it happened. He's digging into this timeless political truth about the dangers of absolute power and what goes wrong when a leader would rather listen to the comforting lies of flatterers than the hard truths from honest advisors. And this really brings us to the core of it all. You have this paradox, right? As a literal factual record of what was said in a room, these debates are pretty much worthless. But as an exploration of power, arrogance, and fate, they are some of the most profound and insightful passages ever written. Ultimately, reading Herodotus this way forces us to ask a much, much deeper question, one we want to leave you with. What do we actually want from our histories? Is it just a list of facts, or is it something that helps us understand the why? What kind of truth are we really looking for?